What's going on, guys, and welcome back to an episode of the Ball Up Podcast. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, so welcome back to the podcast here. And in this podcast episode, I'm going to be basically naming my All-NBA teams, just the 3 All-NBA teams, on what I think they should be. It's been a minute since I've done a podcast, so I'm very excited to do this again. I know I always say this, but I do want to try and get into this fairly often, more often. So, this should be very fun to name these players. This should be available on Spotify too, if you want to check it out there, or on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, Balls Life 99. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those notifications. And we're going to get into this podcast here I'm going to name this as 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center. Now, the criteria, I've seen, for example, last year, I think Jokic and Embiid should have, I believe both of them didn't make All-NBA first team. I think Jokic did. But Jokic definitely did because he won the MVP. He just got announced that recently. Very well deserved, if you ask me. That would have been my pick. I think that, honestly, you could put both Embiid and Jokic, since they're so deserving of those awards. But honestly, for this, I'll do it as the NBA does it. I think that'll be the best way to do it. So I'm going to rank this just based on that. So getting into my first team, my first guard, if you will, because I'll try and keep it point guard, shooting guard, I guess. I'll try and do that. But the first player that I have on this list is none other than Luka Doncic. I think he will be on All-NBA first team. I think he should be. He had an incredible season this year. Nothing shy of amazing. 28 a game from Luka Doncic on good efficiency, or pretty solid efficiency. He did shoot 35% from 3, but also about 46% from the field. So he was pretty efficient. And just about those 8.7, you want to round that up to 9 assists. That, for me, is just so impressive. And about the rebounding, too, about 9 of those per game, total rebounds. Very efficient for Luka Doncic as he continues his path to greatness. He would be on this list. I think he would be probably the one of the guards that would be on the first team. And then for the next one here, if I have to pick another guard, it's not going to be Steph Curry. It's going to be Devin Booker. Devin Booker is a player I'm extremely high on. I think Devin Booker, well, I'll get into it in another episode probably, but I do think that he is a top player in this league. About 27 a game from Booker a night, about 5 boards, and about 5 assists on the best team in the NBA. Shot about 47% from the field, 38 from 3. He did this efficiently. Devin Booker has really just progressed each and every season. And shout out to D-Book. He's one of my favorite players in the league. I'm a big Devin Booker fan. I am on the Devin Booker train. Ever since he dropped 70 points in TD Garden against the Celtics, I kind of knew this kid was going to be a star. And here we are. Devin Booker, you could call him a star player. I think you could call him almost a superstar right now. That's what I got to say about D-Book, man. I think you take him off this Suns team, and they're not very good they're not as good without him. Now, I think they'd be a play-in team, maybe even possibly like a 7 or 6 seed. 7 is the play-in, but 6 seed. But with Chris Paul there still. But I think he's so elite. I think that he could have been in the MVP conversation this year. So there's Devin Booker. Now the next player I have is making his debut on All-NBA first team, just like these last 2 players. From my Boston Celtics, it's Jason Tatum. So Jason Tatum averaged about 27 a night this season which is just about his career high. The rebounds were about 8 a game and 4.4 assists. I think he's an underrated passer. I think Jason Tatum is an underrated passer, and his efficiency was pretty good. I mean, 35% from three, but about 45 from the field. He'll have nights where he's very streaky. Let's look at Game 3 against the Bucks, but I think his efficiency or streakiness, consistency, whatever you want to call it, all those really, I think that if he gets those together, he could be a top 5 player in the league, I think for sure. Duke is my favorite college, which he went to, so I've always liked him coming out of there. And what better way to have a player you love from your favorite college join your favorite team, the Boston Celtics. So there's Jason Tatum. Only good things really to say about him, as well as this player who's my forward, who he's facing in a 2-2 series at the time I'm recording this. In the playoffs, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo with about 30 points, about 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. He definitely could have won MVP this season. Just incredible numbers from Giannis. The efficiency was really good. About 55% from the field. He's not known to be a three-point shooter, but about 29% from there. Giannis is a very good player in this league. I think he is the best player in the NBA currently. My center on first team All-NBA is the MVP, Nikola Jokic. Put up about 27 points per game, almost 14 rebounds, and just about 8 assists. This man was a machine. I think he should have won MVP just due to the fact that he had his Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray out. Second best players on and third best players on that team. You could put Murray ahead of Porter if you want to, but the fact that he made that team a 6 seed, avoiding the play-in, still took a game against a very elite Golden State Warriors team, in my opinion, is enough for me to give this guy MVP while putting up great numbers. I think the difference with him and Embiid, with Joel Embiid, is that Jokic just makes his teammates better. And I'm not saying Embiid doesn't, but I think Jokic does it better. I think he makes his teammates just so much better. I mean, you're seeing guys like Bones Highland in his rookie season shine pretty well. I mean, I didn't expect him to be as good as he was. You've still got vets like Will Barton and Aaron Gordon on that team, where Monte Morris is there too. And to give him MVP, I think is very deserving, because what he did with that team was just kept them a little bit above that play-in tournament, and I think he deserves the MVP. And he was efficient too. I mean, about 38 from three, 58 from the field. He's just improved every single season. Statistically, it just feels like he's improved every single season. So there's Nikola Jokic just continuing to strive in Denver. I think he'll be there for a long time. So let's get into the All-NBA second team. The first player I have here is Ja Morant. So, including myself, I didn't expect the Memphis Grizzlies to be where they are right now. I didn't expect them to be in the second round of the playoffs as a 2 seed. Ja Morant put up 27 a game, about 6 rebounds and 7 assists. I think the biggest thing for him is consistency. I mean, I'll see him shoot like 8 for 20 sometimes, which I think he could do a little better than that, shooting the basketball. But I mean, otherwise, he's tremendous. He's explosive too. He can get up there. He can dunk. I'm sometimes worried about his landing, like hoping he doesn't fall, like injure his leg. I hope it's not another Derrick Rose situation. But Ja Morant has gotten injured a couple times. It hasn't seemed to affect him, as he is still a very elite player in the league. Only about 34 from three, but 49 from the field. He does a lot of scoring inside the arc. In the first round versus Minnesota, he didn't shoot the three very well. He's shooting it a little bit better right now against Golden State, but they're up 3-1 right now. I think they'll close that out in 5, if not in 6. But yeah, Ja Morant gets on my All-NBA second team, along with another player who I didn't expect to be on. I love the move when it happened, but didn't expect him to be on an All-NBA team, and that is Demar Derozan, who put up about 28 a game, 5.2 rebounds a game, and 5 assists. DeRozan's a guy I've always liked. I think he didn't get a lot of attention or time to shine, really, in San Antonio. But we're seeing it here. He was an all-star starter, and for good reason. I mean, the man, I've called him the most efficient player in the league at times. About 28 a game. Wow, I'm still shocked over that. That's crazy. 2-point field goal percentage was 52%. The 3-point percentage was still good at 35. He hit 2 game winners back-to-back, buzzer beaters, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. They were both threes on the road to help his team stay at the 1 seed. When they did fall off a bit after that, but they were a 1 seed, which is great. 50% from the field, which is really, really, really good. And you're seeing just a player blossom. And I think that Zach LaVine should re-sign with the Bulls, run the team back. If not, for some reason, I can weirdly see him in a San Antonio Spurs uniform. The Spurs signing him, trying to make maybe a push at the 6th seed. One final run for Greg Popovich, maybe. I can see that. I don't think they'd be a championship favorite, but maybe one more memorable season for him, Greg Popovich. But we'll see about that. I'll probably do a podcast episode where I predict free agents and whatnot. But the next player as my forward comes from the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. I think we got to show some love to the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler. About 21 a game. Let me just say, I think he is a much better playoff player than he is in the regular season. He's not even a bad regular season player by any stretch of the imagination. But in the playoffs, I think he takes such a big leap. You saw it in the bubble, too. About 6 rebounds and about 6 assists. Jimmy Butler, just a very complete player. Great two-way player. 48% from the field there. And 52% from inside the 3-point line, but outside the line wasn't great, only 23%. But I mean, when Jimmy gets it done, he gets it done in the playoffs. So shout out to Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. Lowry's out for Game 5, and I'm kind of nervous for them. I am somewhat nervous for the Miami Heat. But we'll see what happens. I think that they could definitely get it done. Next player I have here is the king himself, LeBron James. Team did not make the playoffs, but still put up 30 a night, 8 boards, and 6 assists at the age of 37, which blows my mind. I'm a big LeBron fan. He was great this season. He did everything he could to try and get his team over the hump, but it just wasn't enough. 52% from the field and about 40 from 3. And from the inside the 3-point line, all 2-point field goals were about 62%. So LeBron James there, man, still getting it done. And then the center I have is Joel Embiid. I believe he was runner-up in MVP. He put up about 31 a game. I believe he led the league in scoring. 12 boards and 4 assists. Incredible. Just incredible. He really led that team when they didn't have Ben Simmons playing before they traded for James Harden. Tyrese Maxey emerged. They have Tobias Harris, Thibault, Danny Green, George Niang. They have a lot of good role players. I won't throw DeAndre Jordan in that conversation, in that list, but they have a lot of good role players. Now they add James Harden. So the team is very good in Philadelphia, and I think they might take this series against Miami, as I really despise the Sixers. I think they get a lot of calls. I think Joel Embiid, honestly, not to be a slanderer of Embiid, but I think that he would only average 23, 24 a game if you take away all those free throws, which, a lot of players, I guess I can't really make that argument because a lot of players would have less points per game if it weren't for a lot of foul calls, but I think that Embiid gets to the line a lot, a good amount, but you guys can make that case for any player. 50% from the field, 37 from 3, and just 53 from inside the arc. So Joel Embiid there, All-NBA second team, you could definitely make a case for him to win MVP, and he would be very deserving of it as well. So, same thing with Giannis. They'd both be very deserving players to win MVP. That did go to Jokic this season. But now let's get on to our third team. Third team is where it gets interesting. I think that the third team gets pretty interesting here. There are some guys I wanted to put on here but left out. I'll name a few. DeJounte Murray, Darius Garland. I think you could make a case for both of those guys, especially DeJounte with the leap he took this year. I don't have either one on this list. And one other player I don't have on making this list, unfortunately, I know it's Chris Paul. I love Chris Paul. I love what he does when he gets treated. He never forces his way away from a team. He puts himself in a situation and always seems to make it work. I mean, the Thunder had a 0.2 chance of making the playoffs. I was actually a believer in that team for a while, but they had a 0.2 chance of making the playoffs, and boom, they're in as a 5 seed in the 2020 bubble. So Chris Paul with Phoenix brought them to the NBA Finals after not making the playoffs multiple seasons in a row. And drastically, they weren't close. They drastically were down in the standings. So I think he's also shown everyone how good of a player Devin Booker is. He's elevated the players' games like Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton, just about everyone on that team. But Chris Paul barely misses out for me. But the next player I have is Stephen Curry. Put up 25.5 points, so about 26, 5 boards, and 6 assists. Steph Curry, a key reason why this Warrior team was where they were. And he started off the season really hot. He was actually my pick for MVP, probably if I had to make it within the first month of the season. Steph Curry was on fire. Really, like he was incredible, and he still is. I mean, 44% from the field, 38 from 3. Could sometimes be a tad bit inefficient, like barely. But I still think Steph Curry is a top 5 player. Probably, maybe top 6. Maybe top 6, but Steph Curry is Steph Curry, and I think without him, the Warriors might lose the series against Memphis. So, I almost said Denver, but Memphis. He is just their guy. He's their rock. He's the player that they trust the most. And he's been there the longest time. He's probably the longest tenured Warrior on that team. He knows the system. He gets it done every single year. Stephen Curry continues to amaze, and he's even getting older too, like 33 years old. So I don't know, man. Steph Curry always gets it done. I couldn't leave him off this list, as well as another guy just because of the terrific season he had. I have to put on. It's Trey Young, who put up about 28 points per game. So good numbers from Trey Young as far in the points department. He was back as an all-star this year, all-star starter after not making it in 2020. Trey Young, good numbers from him. I mean, 46 from the field, 38 from 3. So just about similar to Steph Curry's numbers. And about 10 assists per game. So a double-double for Trey. And about 4 rebounds. So Trey Young, efficient. Hawks didn't get where they really wanted to be. I think that if they played the way they did ever since the game against the Bucks on MLK Day, I think they would have been in a better spot. Maybe like a 6 seed. But nope, they were not that. They were a 9 seed going into the play-in. I mean, kudos to them. They won and got in, but I think that team, they were very below, like 6 games, I feel like below 500 at that point. But before that Bucks game, that huge Bucks win on MLK Day at home. So Atlanta, I think if they played that way, they a lot of people expected them after the Eastern Conference Finals appearance and beating Philly in 7 games, that I think that they would have, been able to make it to the second round this year, maybe, but it didn't happen. But it'll be, I think, better for them next season. But next player I have here, he's on All-NBA third team for me just due to the amount of time he missed. It's Kevin Durant, who put up about 30 a game as well. I mean, him, Embiid, Giannis, all were going at it. And LeBron, KD, Embiid, and Giannis, all with like 30 point per game seasons, which is crazy. We had about 29 a game, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Kevin Durant's very efficient too. Shout out to the Celtics for really clamping him up, but yeah, he shot about 52% from the field and about 38 from three. So Kevin Durant still gets on an All-NBA team for me. He's still phenomenal. He's getting older, but you wouldn't even tell, really. He's still tremendous. And, yeah, Kevin Durant's great. So, next player I have here is someone who I think should make this list. It was a key bounce-back season for this player. The 2019 most improved player, Pascal Siakam here. About 23 a night. 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Yeah, Siakam propelled Toronto this season. And they did have an all-star in Van Vliet. But I think that without Siakam, they may have been a 6 or 7 seed. Maybe even the 8 seed. But, Pascal Siakam propelled them. And as I say, propelled them. He was so key for them. He was so good for them this season where I can't leave him off this list. And I don't have Andrew Wiggins on here. He was an all-star starter. I don't have him on an All-NBA team. I have Siakam instead. About 49% from the field. 34 from three, so decent from three. But a very good scorer. And I think an underrated passer too. Rebounder as well. I think he has a very complete game. And his defense isn't bad either. A lot of these guys I've mentioned, Giannis, Embiid, the defense that those guys have is crazy. LeBron, Jimmy Butler, like I said, great two-way player. And DeRozan, a lot of these guys are very good defensively, which I think helps them get on this list. And the last player that I have on this list is Karl Anthony Towns. About 25 a night, about 10 rebounds, and about 4 assists. So Towns was good for Minnesota. He brought them in the play-in tournament. I think you take either Edwards or Towns off that team, that would not have happened. But he made them respectable this year. About 53% from the field, 41% from three, and 3-point contest champion. So maybe the greatest shooting big man of all time, like you said. And I don't know if I'd put it ahead of Dirk Nowitzki, but maybe you have to. Maybe you will in the future. Maybe I would, but Karl Anthony Towns was Karl Anthony Towns vintage this season. I think he's only going to be getting better. I think they should keep him in Minnesota. Keep Anthony Edwards and maybe find a D'Angelo Russell trade, a swap for another point guard. And there we have it. I do not have any Utah Jazz players making it. I don't have Rudy Gobert making it. If I had to switch Karl Anthony Towns with a player, it'd probably be Bam Adebayo, but he did miss a significant, now that I think about it, good amount of time this season. So maybe I throw Jared Allen in there. Maybe Jared Allen would get in. I think Paul George would have made it had he not got injured. Anthony Davis just didn't make the cut for me, and he was injured a lot this year too. So, there's the list. Brandon Ingram I was very close to putting on here, but ultimately I decided to go with Pascal Siakam. So, yeah, that is the list. Those are the players I have, and that's the podcast episode. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see what happens when these All-NBA teams come out. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.